This is Tuvalu, a tiny Pacific island nation. How can a country with less than 12,000 people, no tourism, industry, or even soil, possibly function? Money is hard to come by. It has the lowest GDP in the entire world, just $66 million. There are thousands of people individually richer than Tuvalu. That's mainly because the entire nation covers just 26 square kilometers, so it struggles to create its own resources. All bare necessities are imported in, and most income comes from aid and remittances abroad. Their economy is unconventional, but has it always been like this? Tuvalu has always been extremely isolated from the outside world. The islands were originally settled by Polynesian navigators over 2,000 years ago, developing a society highly dependent on fishing in the surrounding Pacific. In the late 19th century, Tuvalu was colonized by the British Empire as part of the Gilbert and Ellice Islands. European influence brought vast cultural changes, with new governing and economic structures. However, traditional lifestyles remained largely intact due to the island's remoteness. In the 1970s, the Ellice Islanders sought to separate from the Gilbert Islands, now known as Kiribati. Tuvalu gained full independence from the United Kingdom in 1978 and joined the United Nations in 2000, finalizing their presence as an independent country. But due to extremes in size and remoteness, they have struggled to develop a modern economy. The first stage is usually agriculture, but the lack of arable land and nutrient-poor soil make large-scale farming impossible. The only crops produced come from coconut trees. Fishing, however, has maintained its vital role throughout the centuries. Around 42% of the population is involved in fishing activity, catching mostly tuna. Industry is the next stage of development, but geographical constraints also make this impractical. They simply lack the natural resources and capacity for manufacturing. Importing raw materials is too costly, especially with their single port only allowing for small, expensive ships to arrive. The service sector in a small island nation like this would usually consist of tourism and tax haven benefits. Tuvalu lacks both. They are one of the least visited destinations in the world, with only a few hundred tourists arriving annually. This is down to several factors. Firstly, other than beautiful beaches, which can be found anywhere, there are no tourist attractions. Getting there is very difficult. There's also hardly any accommodations, no tour guides, and no cruise activities nearby. As for becoming a tax haven, Tuvalu relies too much on aid and cooperation with powerful allies to risk damaging their reputation. So, without a traditional economic structure, how exactly do they function? Most of their income is sourced abroad. Foreign aid is huge. The Tuvalu Trust Fund was established in 1987 by Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom to contribute a huge portion of their government budget. In 2021, this amounted to $192 million, which is 261% of their total GDP. This has provided a vital income cushion for Tuvalu, especially given the volatility of their main income streams. One of these streams is the sale of fishing licenses within their exclusive economic zone. Licensing fees from foreign fishing vessels exploiting tuna stocks are vital, with occasional joint ventures enhancing this income. Remittances from those working overseas, given the complete lack of jobs in the mainland, contribute around 10% of total GDP. Most interestingly, though, is the importance of licensing their unique .tv web domain to sites such as Twitch, bringing in millions of dollars every year. But nothing really compares to the trust fund in overcoming their chronic budget deficit. Millions are spent every year importing basic food and goods from the likes of Singapore and Australia, so foreign aid is really the only lifeline stopping a humanitarian disaster. Despite all these strange practices, economic growth has actually been pretty good in recent years. Ignoring the COVID year, growth has been positive in each of the last 10 years, so at least there are signs of improvement for its citizens. But there is a more pressing concern at play. It is that rising sea levels threaten their very existence. For over 3 decades, Tuvalu has been a vocal advocate for reducing global greenhouse gas emissions, warning of the dire consequences of climate change. Despite these efforts, Tuvalu now faces the reality that its territory could be submerged by the end of the century. To address this, Tuvalu amended its constitution to ensure its statehood even without a physical landmass, envisioning a digital nation to maintain governance and culture online. This, along with everything discussed today, shows just how much they are willing to innovate, improvise, and fight to ensure survival, even against the most extreme odds.